a or a quite influential gender critical activist called Nicola Murray has been, according to Edinburgh Live, carrying out a shocking campaign of abuse against 4 children. Nicola Murray sexually assaulted 2 victims by forcing her tongue into their mouths and freely talked about her sex life to another child, including describing the size of her lover's penis. This news site, Edinburgh Live, describes her as a high-profile domestic abuse activist, which she may or may not be, but importantly, she is a high-profile gender-critical activist or anti-trans activist, and they don't mention that in this entire article, but that's like her main thing. Like what happens with a lot of these people, they might have some background vaguely related to something like this, and then once they get trans derangement syndrome, that like consumes their lives, and that's who they become. This person is a gender critical activist and not just a total nobody. So let's just jump ahead a little bit. So since this news came out, she has locked down her account on Twitter. That vegan lass is her thing, and has a quote, says she's Christian here. But it wasn't locked when the article first came out, and a trans journalist here, Too Damn Trans, went on the profile, and I did actually personally see this myself, and I didn't screenshot it, but fortunately Sasha did. But this lady, Nicola Murray, was, or is still to this day, or at least to the point that this article came out and she locked her account down, was followed by like all of the major gender criticals. So here we have Sonia Soda from The Observer. There's a whole bunch of them here. Malcolm Clark from LGBT Alliance, Millie Hill from Gender Critical in General. I don't know what they all do. Karen Ingala Smith, Rosie Duffield, For Women Scotland, the group at the centre of this recent ruling, Jean Hatchett, Joe Barstosh, like all of the big names in the gender critical movement followed this person. And sure, I'm sure it's happened in the past that you've followed someone and then it's turned out that they're a garbage person. And you're like, oh, and you might not find out straight away. You might be like, oh, wow, I didn't hear that news. I'm going to unfollow them. But this isn't just like some celebrity that you're disconnected from that you find out is a bit of a prick or something. This is like the gender critical movement is quite close-knit, and all of these people are of similar size profile, and there's no way they haven't heard about this. They're all in group chats. They all know about it. She was posting about it on her own account as well, like denying it all. The news has come out. There have been people confronting the gender criticals on this. They don't care. If this had been a trans person who had done this, if a trans person had been doing these disgusting things to children, it would already be international news. But because it's not just a cis person, but it's a gender critical activist, they don't care. They don't care at all. So let's read about more what the disgusting things that she's done. Nicola Murray sexually assaulted 2 victims by forcing her tongue in their mouths. She forced one child to view an explicit sexual image she'd taken of a man. It's just so grim. Murray's campaign of terror also included blaming one child for causing her to suffer a miscarriage and restricting the breathing of another by smothering their face with a pillow. What the fuck? Further disturbing incidents saw Murray drag a young child out of a top bunk bed onto the floor and branded another child a tranny after they styled their hair to look like their favourite pop star Pink, who is a cis woman, by the way. Like, it does not surprise me at all that a gender critical activist would use tranny as a like derogatory slur for even non-trans people, because to them trans people are like subhuman filth, and it's one of the most disgusting things you could do would be to be a trans person. So it's like the best insult that they use when they're trying to abuse people. But get this, all of the abuse took place at the addresses in West Lothian and Perthshire over a 20-year period. 20 years. This gender critical activist, high profile gender critical activist, fucking freak, has been abusing people and children. She was arrested and charged after one victim bravely came forward to report her in 2022. Yes, oh, man. She set up a group for after suffering a miscarriage, and enables so she introduced a petition to create an offence that enables courts to hand down longer sentences for violent domestic abusers who cause their victims to lose their baby. That is a good thing. I mean, I could say I commend her for doing that, but I don't really want to commend someone who's been arrested for sexually abusing or abusing children. But this, like, it's a good thing. But for her to become, like, politically activated after suffering such a horrific thing against her, to then go and blame a child for suffering a miscarriage, and to, like, do all these horrible abusive things to other people, like, how... I just don't ever understand how anyone can be a victim of abuse and then want to do that to other people. It's just horrific. I hope someone else who is not gender critical and is not an apologist for this kind of behavior takes on this cause of fighting for longer sentences for domestic abusers. All domestic abusers really need longer sentences and need more action from the authorities, but particularly those who cause miscarriages. But yeah, I do think that this isn't just a random nobody. I know that she only has 10,000 followers, which doesn't seem that much. But in the gender critical world, they're very interconnected, and 10,000 followers is a big sized, like, Twitter account for the gender critical movement. Although you might think, like, these people have people in positions like in parliament and judges, and they're making decisions across the whole country, they're still not that big a movement. They're a well-connected, very well-funded movement, but there isn't that many of them. So this isn't just a nobody. This isn't like this isn't what constantly happens with like the other way round, is some random person who just happens to be trans, happens to be a criminal. It gets reported on by the news internationally, blown up straight away. And then the gender criticals will spin it as, like, trans rights activists are all bad because this one is bad. It's like, this person isn't even an activist, and also, like, the first I've ever heard of them is this, and if they were an activist, I would be disgusted at this action and have absolutely no reason to follow them on Twitter or support them in any way. So this isn't a both sides thing. This isn't just, like, two sides throwing similar accusations at each other and some of them are criminals because just people are criminals. This is a gender critical activist, a high profile one, who is calling children's trannies as an insult, like, clearly motivated by her belief system, as part of a pattern of abuse for 20 years, who is still interconnected in the gender critical movement. Says she has systematically, physically, emotionally, and sexually abused these children over 20 years. The victims had been repeatedly struck, slapped, and dragged. One child gave evidence they had been treated like a dog. So I don't know if we've got sentencing yet. Let's see. Don't know, but her pinned post was professing her innocence. But it does look like here that she has been convicted. She was found guilty on 3 charges of assault, 2 of sexual assault, 2 of indecent communication, 1 of indecent assault, and 2 offences of behaving in a threatening or abusive manner. But that's just between August and December in 1 year. That, like, obviously when stuff like this happens, they can't get evidence for every single one of the crimes, but when you find someone guilty of that many things and the victims of them say that actually there was, like, hundreds more, you know that there was hundreds more. Or at least I personally believe when victims say that. I couldn't possibly say whether she would be found guilty or not at trial. But it is good that she was found guilty of the ones she was found guilty of.